One more thing. It's that time of year again. The next stretch of games will define the Dallas Mavericks season. I'll tell you why. Today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm not a doctor, so.
That's it. It's me versus the machine.
I don't know.
Satnam change.
Nice penetrating thrust to the middle.
Hot man, the hot player.
Wait. One more thing.
Fired up.
Yeah, welcome. You're still locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavs for over 10 years. It's One More Thing, a bonus episode of Locked On Mavs. If you missed the episode of me and slightly breaking down the Mavs win against the New York Knicks, go listen to that show. But today, I want to talk about this next stretch of either 7 or 12 games, probably 7, will define the Dallas Mavericks season. This stretch is kind of insane. And in the middle of that 7 or 12 is the trade deadline. And the Mavs have a lot of decisions to make. And so I want to walk through where the Mavs stand right now, where they could be after this next stretch of 7 or 12 games, and go through it. And I'm doing this because I do this every year, and Isaac hates it or loves it or cracks up every time. Texts me every once in a while when we go through like the stretch of the schedule coming out in the offseason, and he's like, which games will define the Mavericks season? Because I did this 2 or 3 years ago. I did this on a show, and it was like a random stretch of games in December. And he was like, how can that stretch of games define the Mavs season? And I've been doing it every year since. And I think this time, this is for real, because you start looking through the Mavericks schedule. The next stretch of games for the Dallas Mavericks just beat the Knicks, but that Knicks game started this stretch of 8 games that are against really tough opponents and right before the trade deadline. So the Mavs played the Knicks on Monday, won that game, surprisingly. They play at home against the Golden State Warriors. Then they play home against the Lakers Saturday. That one is obviously Luka returning back to the AAC. It's an ABC game. It's a Saturday, but it's also supposed to be like an ice storm. So who knows what's going to happen on that game. I feel like anything can happen when crazy weather in Dallas. Then at Milwaukee, second night of a travel back-to-back for the Mavericks. That one's a pretty tough one, but Milwaukee has not been that difficult of an opponent. Still have Giannis. Then you have home against the Timberwolves. A couple days later, get 2 days off before that one, but you're home. And so the Timberwolves have been kind of tough. Then second night of a back-to-back again, but it's home against the Hornets. The Hornets have been actually kind of difficult of an opponent. So I'm not completely pushing that one to the side. I'm saying that they've been pretty good. Their offense has been incredible. Second night of a back-to-back for the Mavericks there. Then it's at Houston on a Saturday, the 31st. So we're at the end of January here. That's a national TV game. Then it's home against Boston February 3rd. You get a couple days off between those two. That's an NBC game, a national TV game as well. That stretch of 7, really tough stretch for the Dallas Mavericks. And the Mavs have actually kind of low-key been pretty good recently. The Mavs are 6-4 in their last 10 games. They've had a stretch of winning 4 out of their last 5. Or 3 out of their last 4. They've been really good in this stretch. They haven't had Anthony Davis. They haven't had Kyrie. And the Mavs, if they get through that stretch of games, they're at the trade deadline. February 5th, the Mavs do play a home game against the Spurs that day. Shout out to Harrison Barnes getting traded on trade deadline day during the trade deadline. The trade deadline happens before games all start, thankfully now, so we don't have to worry about that. But now this next stretch of games, the Mavs, as they sit right now, after this game against the Knicks, they're 2 games back from the 10th seed, 6.5 games back from the 8th seed in the West. And if you look at the lottery odds, they have 18 wins, and they have 2 more than Charlotte, who's right ahead of them, 7th best odds in the lottery. They have 4 more wins than Utah, and they have 6 more wins than Brooklyn, Sacramento, and 8 more wins than the Pelicans, the Pacers, and the Wizards. It's like they're right in the middle of either side of this thing. And if you listen to this show, you know what we think about this. The Mavs have this one chance to go get somebody high in the lottery, a lottery that has 3 really good guys at the top, plus like a Caleb Wilson and whoever else that could end up being up there. A really good draft by all accounts. I'm going to have Nathan from No Ceilings come on to talk about all those guys at the top the next couple of days. That one will be a really good one. But they're right in the middle. Literally 2 games back for the 10th seed, 2 more wins than Charlotte for 7th best odds, and have basically a 33% chance to get a top 4 pick. You're sitting right in the middle of those 2 things. And I think the Mavs ownership and their front office is sitting in the middle of both of these 2 ideas of the Mavs taking advantage of the future and going out and tanking and getting another star next to Cooper Flagg, hopefully, or just at least getting a chance at a really good player next to Cooper Flagg that could be on his timeline. But then you look at the Mavs injury report, and Kyrie is, trying to come back or working on it. You've got Anthony Davis, who is now not getting surgery, so he's going to be out 6 weeks. And the Mavs, in this next stretch of games, right before the trade deadline, kind of have to decide, are we going to sell off pieces? Are we going to try and dump Anthony Davis's contract? Or trade Anthony Davis's deal, try and get something out of it? Are we going to trade Gafford? Are we going to trade Klay? Are we going to trade Naji? What are we going to do with this stretch? And if the Mavs go 0-7 in that stretch, they lose all 7 of those games, which is entirely possible. That's a tough stretch of games, right? Warriors, Lakers, Bucks, Bucks on second night of a back-to-back. Minnesota, Charlotte, second night of a back-to-back. Houston, Boston. Really tough opponents. The easy ones, Milwaukee and Charlotte, are on the second night of a back-to-back, and one of them's a travel back-to-back with the Milwaukee one. Going from Dallas to Milwaukee. Tough. That's a tough one. If you go 0-7 in that stretch, you're 18-33. I think you're completely out of it at that point. There's no play-in hopes at all. Right now, you're 2 games back from 10th seed. So if you're Patrick Dumont, you're the owner of the Mavericks, you're looking at this going, well, we're really close to actually, being in the play-in. And if we get Kyrie and AD back, then all of a sudden we're in the play-in and we could beat anybody. You may be saying that to yourself. I think there's just no reason to do that. But we do know from several reports from Stein and Mark Stein and Tim McMahon and others that Patrick Dumont does want to see Kyrie and AD play together, or at least he said that he wants to do that before they make anything drastic happen or trade AD. Mavs also don't have a set GM right now, so maybe they don't want to make big decisions about the future of this franchise without doing that. And so that's something to watch out for. And so they have this stretch of 7 games that if they lose all those games, you're probably right before the trade deadline going, all right, let's just sell off some of these pieces. But let's say the Mavericks go like 5-2 in this stretch. All of a sudden, you're 23-28, right? You're 23-28. The Clippers are 19-23. The Grizzlies are 18-23. The Blazers are at 500. You're 23-28. You're only 5 games under 500 with a couple months left, 2 months left in the season. With all of a sudden, so I've been talking about these 7 games. Let's say the Mavs are close to 500. They're in the play-in at the end of this 7 games. Trade deadline happens, and the Mavs go, you know what? Let's hold on, because after 5 games here, home for the Spurs, at the Suns, at the Lakers, at the Timberwolves. Really tough slate of games, but you get the All-Star weekend in between there. After the All-Star break, here's what's supposed to happen. And we'll talk about this coming up. Kyrie is set to come back mid-February. That'd be All-Star break. 6 weeks from the AD's injury, February 19th. That's right after the All-Star break. Coming up, what should they do? What's Patrick Dumont going to do? I'll tell you, coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems, new things happening all the time. You're trying to start new habits in your life. I'm definitely doing that, where I'm trying to figure out how do you get more steps if you're working at your desk all the time. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business or life and think there's got to be a better way to do this. There is. Streamlining your communication. It's one of the quickest ways you can make big upgrades, fix your business, figure out how to streamline things, and make sure that you're not wasting any time and also wasting money. Quo, it's spelled Quo. It's the smarter way to run your business communications. When your team is unreachable, unorganized, and not communicating, it messes everything up. But when they are reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. So how do they do it? You can call. Your whole team has one shared business number to call or text, so nothing gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation, which makes replies faster and more personal. Quo also has these smart AI tools that automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps, so details never slip through the cracks. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slip away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to Quo. That's Quo.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, Quo.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Also brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. It doesn't. But sometimes there are years where it's just taking so much time. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have just done this online. I wish I would have just sent in my papers or whatever, sent in my documents to somebody and just left it off with somebody. I've definitely had those moments where I'm like, man, spending so much time either in an office or talking to somebody over the phone or whatever. This year, TurboTax making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can get your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish without the stress or guesswork. You can upload documents, go about your day, and get the updates right in the TurboTax app. I've done this and seen the updates they give you. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local, TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
It's a One More Thing bonus episode of Locked On Mavs. Subscribe to the Everydayer Club. We have all kinds of great stuff there. They have ad-free episodes of this show, so you don't have to listen to all those ads I just did. You can get access to Locked On specific merch. You can get access to the Discord that we have. There's a lot of people talking to that Discord. I think we hit over 100, which is pretty awesome. Those are all people that are subscribed either to the text line or the Everydayers Club, and so it's awesome to see that. Not everybody. We're trying to get everybody. So if you're on the text line, you're not part of the Discord, join it. It's fun. All right. Let's get into this. The next stretch of either 7 or 12 games will define the Mavs season. The 7 games is right before the trade deadline. And if the Mavs are awful in those next 7 games, I think the Mavs look at themselves in the mirror. Patrick Dumont looks at it and says, all right, well, I'm going to let Matt Riccardi and Michael Finley go ahead, sell off some of these pieces. I get it. I see the plan. I see the purpose for being a seller at the trade deadline. If they're good in those games and the Mavs are getting edging closer to 500, maybe actually in the play-in because they're only 2 games back from the 10th seed. The Mavs are in the 10th seed. Clippers somehow fall out. Blazers maybe fall out. Something happens to those 2 teams. Grizzlies fall off the trade Ja or whatever. The Mavs slip up into that conversation. Then all of a sudden, you go, all right. And that's a lot. It's 2 games over the course of the next 7. That's possible between the Mavs and the Clippers. But 4 games between the Mavs and the Blazers over the next 7 is very tough. So the Mavs would probably have to just get to 10th. If that does happen, then all of a sudden they could talk themselves into this. Well, listen, 4 games from now is the All-Star break. So we only got 4 more games. Then Kyrie is set to come back mid-February. AD, 6 weeks from his injury, when the Mavs press release said that he will be healed in 6 weeks, which I think is hilarious. That he'll be healed in 6 weeks. That 6 weeks is February 19th. So literally trade deadline. So after the All-Star break, both those guys come back. The Mavs go on a run. They move up in the play. Like, this is the stuff they could be talking themselves into if the Mavs are good in these next 7 games, which is why I look at them and say, these 7 games will define the season because you won't trade anybody at the trade deadline. You talk yourself into Kyrie and AD coming back after the All-Star break. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, now we're going back to being a win now team. Let's see what it looks like with Flagg, Kyrie, AD. I'm making some of you so excited right now. I can hear you. There's several people that comment every day like this. You don't know how good this team is. Just wait till they get healthy. Like, you're convincing yourself that this team is nothing when they've got AD and Kyrie. If you're that person right now, you're loving this set of this strategy that the Mavs could do. They look good in these next 7 games, or they have a good record in the next 7 games. Trade deadline comes, the Mavs don't make any big moves. Then because they're talking themselves into, well, only 4 games from now after the trade deadline is the All-Star break, and then we're getting Kyrie and AD back after that. I think there's no way they should do this. I went through my steps for the Mavericks going forward. And this only has happened because of the Mavs' little stretch here that they've gone 6-4 in their last 10. 2 wins against the Jazz, the win against the Knicks, the win against Brooklyn. Oh, so they won 4 out of the last 5. They've also won 3 out of the last 4, but they have won 4 out of the last 5. The 2 wins against Houston and Sacramento. Both of them with Anthony Davis, but still in this stretch of wins. But now you're playing some tough opponents. And so I expect to happen. The Mavs look bad. Mavs lose a bunch of these games, maybe go 1-6. Then all of a sudden you're sitting there going, all right, well, let's sell off some pieces of the trade deadline. Let's get some assets to go forward. Let's, bottom out so that we get a better draft pick, because if the Mavs stay where they are at 8th, I said this many times yesterday and I still believe this. Mavs have like a 1-4 chance to nail their future, to be set for your future. You get another star next to Cooper Flagg. You get a Cam Boozer. You get an AJ DeBonta. You get a Darren Peterson. Maybe even Caleb Wilson or one of those guards. We've seen guys go 4 or 5 in a draft that are better than anybody else. It's happened. 25% chance the Mavs are set for their future. You've got Flagg, you've got the next guy, you've got some role players, you got Kyrie still. You're rolling. Boom. You've got your direction. But after these next 7 games, come back to Locked On Mavs or stay with us the whole time because we'll be following them because I think this next stretch of either 7 or 11, 12 games is going to define the Dallas Mavericks season. Subscribe to Locked On Mavs wherever you're listening, watching this. Subscribe to the Everydayer Club. Ad-free episodes of this show, access to the Discord, all kinds of great things on that. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.